Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you this morning to our information session on the right to read. And we're so happy to have Pam Lougheed-Stack, the Literacy Director for the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta. Did I do that right?
You sure did. I know it's a mouthful.
It is, but we're just so happy that you're going to be here with us. We will be recording this information part, but then the second half of this will be time for you to have questions that Pam can answer for you. So thank you, Pam.
You're welcome. Okay, I'll try sharing screen.
All right.
Hopefully I've got everything working. Can you see that? Well, hold on. Got to share it first.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'll get right into it, then we can I'll answer questions after. So let me just move this out of the way so I can see a little bit better. I think I might just put it on me and the image. Okay, so hi there. I'm Pam Lougheed-Stack, the Literacy and Program Director for the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta, and I'm delighted to introduce to you the Right to Read program and the Reading Readiness Screening Tool. LDA's Right to Read Committee had a vision back in about 2009, which led to our Right to Read program. Our vision is this: all teachers have the knowledge and expertise to provide effective literacy instruction that is aligned with the science of reading research, which we know is so important. Every child in kindergarten and grade 1 is screened for potential reading difficulties. Every child at potential risk for reading problems is provided with support at the earliest possible stage in their educational career. So this vision led us to developing the Right to Read program and the Reading Readiness Screening Tool. So the Right to Read program helps teachers to assess students' early reading skills and provide effective literacy instruction and intervention. LDA's Committee of Experts developed the Reading Readiness Screening Tool because we know that early screening of foundational literacy skills in tandem with effective core instruction and intervention is known to reduce the number of children who struggle with reading and writing. The literacy skills assessed with our RRST are oral language, including vocabulary and sentence structure, phonological awareness and phonemic awareness, concepts about print, and letter sound mastery, including letter identification, sound identification, high frequency words, non-word decoding, and spelling. So who do you assess with the RRST? First of all, we recommend it to be a screener for all of you kindergarten students. And the tool is administered as a pre-test in late January and then a post-test end of the year. That post-test data can inform which students will need continued support in grade 1. It's also an excellent diagnostic tool for grade 1 and students in English programs, French programs, for your older struggling students, and English language learners. And just to let you know, we hope to in the next year or so get it validated so it can also be a screening tool for grade 1, because as you know, with the Alberta government now, it's got to be, we have to finish, we're in the process of getting it validated for grade 1. We're not quite there. And then it should be an approved tool for screening as well. But in the meantime, it's an excellent diagnostic tool for grade 1 and 2. So what makes the Right to Read program special is that there's a companion course that coincides with the Reading Readiness Screening Tool. An assessment tool should inform instruction, and quality of instruction will directly impact students' progress. So the online course shows participants how to administer the Reading Readiness Screening Tool and interpret results. Teachers are then guided how to use that data and effectively teach those foundational reading acquisition skills. These instructional strategies are effective for both core instruction, Tier 1, to all students in kindergarten and grade 1, and for small group intervention for struggling readers. The benefits of the combined Reading Readiness Screening Tool and the course are: the tool provides a baseline reading assessment. Use of the tool ensures strengths and weaknesses are identified very early, and the diagnostic information can be used to inform intervention strategies. Assessment can be re-administered to gauge students' growth or continued areas of need, so it's a progress monitor as well. Teachers are provided training to administer the tool and then utilize effective instructional strategies. And then they can assess and teach the foundational literacy skills that have been identified in the science of reading research, particularly for our tool, the oral language, phonemic awareness, and phonics, or the letter sound correspondences required for decoding and encoding. Students and accompanying instructional strategies, subtests and strategies are aligned with the English Language Arts provincial curriculum outcomes for grades kindergarten in Alberta and other jurisdictions. And the instruction utilizes a structured literacy approach, which is explicit and systematic, and this approach is proven to be the most effective. So I'll just give you a bit of a highlight of the subtests, and this is the order that they come in. So we've got expressive vocabulary, then the oral close, rhyme detection, rhyme generation, word detection, syllable detection, phoneme segmenting, syllable blending, phoneme blending, syllable blending, phoneme deletion, initial sound isolation, final sound isolation, medial sound isolation, print concepts, letter identification, sound identification, word recognition, non-word decoding, and spelling. The subtests on the tool are grouped into clusters on the developmental continuum like this. So all those subtests are grouped into oral word skills, print concepts, syllable skills, grapheme skills, which means letter identification, phonemic awareness skills, and then the phoneme grapheme, or the sound letter association. So let's take a look at these clusters. We have oral expression, including vocabulary, which is a foundational skill needed for reading. Many of our students do not come to school with this vocabulary we would expect at a certain age. So it's a good idea to gauge it. And as I said, this is just a small sampling, a bit of a screener for this. We also assess syntax, which is their knowledge of sentence patterns of language. And then we check out the print concepts and text structure. So as students learn about text and rules that govern text construction, they develop concepts about the way text works. So obviously in kindergarten, they're mastering understanding of front to back, right side up, top to bottom, left to right. And obviously in grade 1 and 2, they're starting to learn what to expect with different kinds of genre. A major emphasis of the tool and course is on phonological awareness, and in particular, phonemic awareness. Phonological awareness is an umbrella term that refers to the ability to recognize and manipulate the sound properties of spoken words, rhymes, syllables, and sounds within words. Phonemic awareness involves attending to, thinking about, and intentionally manipulating the individual phonemes of sounds within spoken words and syllables. So as you can see here, a critical part of learning to read is being able to blend those sounds together to read the word, and also to segment the sounds when you're needing to spell them. Blending and segmenting is both critical skills. The National Reading Panel found that many difficulties learning to read were caused by inadequate phonemic awareness, and that explicit and systematic instruction in phonemic awareness and phonics, that letter sound correspondences, directly caused improvements in children's reading and spelling skills. And there have been multiple studies, constant research, just in re-informing us of this need to ensure that they develop those phonemic awareness skills. So the role of phonics in building word recognition, and this is really that letter sound correspondences. So effective phonics instruction explicitly and systematically teaches students correspondences between letters in written language and the phonemes or sounds in spoken language, and how to use those correspondences to read and spell. And again, evidence from the science of reading research describes clearly the critical role that phonics plays in developing word recognition skills. Teachers should follow a scope and sequence and use evidence-based resources for teaching phonics, including the use of decodable text. So now you've got a sense of what we cover. Let's take a look at how you can do this. So if you look at your clusters, they will be recorded on the summary sheet for each child. Then they'll be compiled into the class summary page. They'll be interpreted using tables in the teacher manual, and then strengths and weaknesses are identified for each child and for the class as a whole. So to use the results, again, the focus of this is always to inform practice. So you'll be assessing using the RRST, identifying the areas of weakness, and then you're going to give students targeted instruction. Chart the progress using circle charts, and then reassess using the tool. So the goal of the screening, or as if it's a diagnostic test, is to ultimately build teachers' capacity to identify possible weaknesses and also to inform instructional practice, both for core instruction and intervention. The intervention strategies that are included in the course include picture book activities, center activities, games and songs, suggested early reading of decodable books. Some of these are whole class activities, while others can be done just with those children who need a specific skill. So the strategies are very specific for each of the subtests. The teacher will choose the strategies and activities that will address the reading gaps discovered when administering the RRST. So it's not in the sense of maybe a whole program where you have to go step by step by step. You look at your assessment results, interpret them, and decide what strategies are needed. And also we provide activities for teachers, such as sample lessons, games and activities, word lists, templates to make materials. And we suggest resources that teachers may want to then go ahead and use, suggested resources. And that's something that we need to be obviously updating on a regular basis, because there's some great resources out there now. And also we provide activities that parents can do with their children, because we know, especially with that early literacy skills, we want to partner with the parents. And so in our teacher manual and in our course, we've got activities for them to do during their own story time, while enjoying rhymes and songs, using objects and food around the home, playing games, and things they can do orally while in the car. And I love that aspect of it, because parents are hungry to be involved, and they should be. They're with their young kids, you know, a big part of their time is with them. I just want to wrap up with a response to intervention. So within the response to intervention model, the RRST can help teachers to identify and place students in tiered groups for instruction. So I don't know if that's a model that's familiar to many of you, but I've used this in schools, and it's just amazing how effective it is. So again, if we look at that tier 1, the green one, this is when we assume that those students, when we've tested them, we've screened them, they're at benchmark level. So all students receive instruction in an effective, scientifically based core curriculum. Data on the student progress is collected for all students at 3 benchmark periods during the fall, winter, and spring. So again, we're looking at hopefully 80% of students in a school or in your class should respond. And if for some reason that number is really low, then obviously we've got to look at that student population, and then also the teaching practice. Are we following that science of reading research and making sure that it's based on that, our instruction is? If students are struggling and they don't meet benchmark, those are the students who are at risk. So we're looking at the strategic level, students who do not respond adequately. And so then we're going to be providing supplemental instruction. And so it should be about 15% of your class may be struggling there. And then if after you've provided that intervention, if they're still struggling, that's when they will probably need tier 3 instruction, and that will be more intensive. So that means they'd be seen more often, hopefully by specialists if possible. There'll be more progress monitoring, and it's just more thorough. And so there are definitely kids, I know I've worked with them, who we quickly see from those results. We might need to move them directly up to tier 3, but we'll see how it goes. If they still struggle after those tier 1, 2, and 3, then that's when I go, I think we need to maybe do a referral for a psychoed and see if there's an issue like dyslexia here. Obviously, we're not worrying about that quite in kindergarten, but if we're staying on top of it with something like the tool and the teacher strategies, then we'll probably catch those kids versus waiting till grade 3, which has been, you know, the way for so many years. We wait till grade 2 or grade 3, and then we go, oh, they're struggling. should we send them for psych ed? But we haven't really done that intervention yet. And that's why I like this tool and other tools out there. So we stay on top of it. We stay on top of how they're doing, what they're struggling with. We give that targeted instruction, and then we reassess and see if they've caught up, and then maybe see, well, do we need to tweak our instruction or our groupings, etc. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you have an understanding now of the Right to Read program and the Reading Readiness Screening Tool and how they will be of benefit to your teachers and students. So we've got two websites here. The Right to Read website, which gives you more specific information about the program. But Right to Read is a program of the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta. So if you go onto this website, you'll see Right to Read at the top, and then you can delve into that, and it will also link you to the website. I also just want to point out to you our annual Science of Reading webinar series, and you can access them via both these websites. And they're a great resource for all of your teachers in K to grade 6, including your ed assistants, your literacy specialists, and classroom teachers. Last year's webinar was really well received, and so well received that we've provided again this year. So you can register for that online. And it's called Turning Theory into Practice. So each webinar covers specific topics related to the science of reading. So we start with an intro to science of reading, then phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, morphology, vocabulary, comprehension, and then we do get into response to intervention where a school highlights how they did it. For this year's series, we are doing 3 webinars that delve into dyslexia, then assessment informs instruction, sound walls, phonics and orthographic mapping for reading and spelling. And then our final session, we've got a superintendent from a district sharing how they're implementing the structured literacy supports and interventions throughout the whole system. So if you're a school leader, you might want to sign on to that. So I think that covers it. I'm sorry I went into a bit about that, but as I said, I've got my email here, Pam Lougheed-Stack, Literacy and Program Director. If you have any questions after this, feel free to send me an email and I'll do my best to answer any questions. There we go. Thanks very much.
Yes, and just to let you know, also on the AISCA website, you will find an FAQ. If you go to Learner Supports and What's New, and you'll find the information about Right to Read. And don't forget that right now, until December the 31st, we have a special for our AISCA schools. If you sign up now, this program generally, if you went onto the website, you'll see that it's $300. We have negotiated with the Learning Disabilities Association of Alberta for an incredible rate that we're so pleased to bring to you. We are going to be paying half, and it will cost your school $75 only to train your staff. So we're very excited to be able to offer that to you, but also want you to know that there is a deadline, because after December 31st, you will have to pay the $300. So right now, I will stop our recording and allow for questions. I don't know if it's best to put it in the chat or raise your hand, and Pam, you could maybe pick people, but I will stop the recording.